The Miami Heat franchise initial startup cost in 1987 was $32.5 million. The approximate cost for an NBA franchise today is around $375 million, a difference of over $342 million in just 20 years.
Welcome back to Inside the Heat. The Miami Heat had earned the right to be a franchise, built an organization, and after losing its first 17 games, won one in Los Angeles. Now it was time to give the home fans in South Florida something to celebrate. On December 23rd, 1989, the Heat hosted the powerhouse Utah Jazz with their two stars, Karl Malone and John Stockton.
It was Friday, December 23rd. The win at home, it felt like a championship, not just a game. Everyone jumped to celebration. What a holiday present.
The Heat win at home. 101-80. The Miami Heat get a victory at home. And this crowd is loving every moment of this one tonight.
There's just a lot of euphoria among the people that you work with.
They were dancing in the aisles. They were carrying on.
We all kind of savored that win for 2 or 3, 4, possibly 5 days.
Another challenge in that first season was Miami's placement in the Midwest Division of the Western Conference.
The only reason we were put in the Midwest Division and the Western Conference was in fairness to the other teams in the East, to strike some kind of balance.
Teams were not taking charter flights, they were flying commercial. So it added a tremendous amount of travel time that other teams did not have to deal with.
You had to take the first plane out in the morning. So if it was 6 o'clock and you had just played a game, 6 a.m. you got to be at the airport, you got to check in.
Commercial flights. It was always fun. It was always intriguing, I guess, because you would always wonder who's going to miss the flight, who's going to miss the bus to the plane.
Mid-January 1989 brought unprecedented drama. The nation's eyes were starting to focus on the Magic City as it prepared to host Super Bowl 23. But a sweet week turned sour when harsh reality intervened. On January 16th, Colombian-born Miami police officer Uильямом Lozano shot a young black man, Clement Lloyd, riding on a motorcycle, eluding police, killing him and the passenger, Alan Blanchard.
It was a very surreal day. You were aware of other things that were going on, the unrest going on that was in the town, and, the feeling for, how helpless you feel when something like that's going on.
Rioting began in Overtown almost immediately after the incident and lasted for 3 days, resulting in 1 more death, 11 injuries, and 13 buildings burned down. It was a sad and difficult time for Miami as civil disobedience and racial tension polarized the community. On the second day of unrest, the Heat had a game at the Miami Arena in Overtown.
The city just went up in flames, and I can remember watching much of the city burn right from my building.
I grew up in war-torn countries, and the least I expected was me driving to an NBA game and having roadblocks, and we weren't allowed to get to the game.
With tip-off just hours away, fearing for the safety of the fans, the Heat-Suns game was postponed and later rescheduled. It was the first time ever that an NBA game was canceled due to a civil disturbance.
It really wasn't the team's decision per se, because safety for our fans was paramount. And the police at the time felt that they could not give us adequate police support.
And I recall, after doing one live shot, an interview with Ickey Woods and his family, we looked out of the window and we saw downtown Miami burning.
Hundreds of Miami police officers, and many with batons and the plastic shields. It was a very frightening experience.
And I think it opened up a lot of guys to wow, society still goes on, and there's more to life than just this basketball game.
The 3-day disturbance that nearly broke up a city began to subside, but for the next home game, there was one daunting question. Would the fans return downtown to the arena? On January 19th, 3 days after the riots, that question was answered thanks to the appearance of one extraordinary basketball icon.
Everybody in attendance tonight, whether you're a Heat fan or just an NBA fan, wants to see the master, Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan ended the Miami riot. It was a full house, and everyone wanted to see him in his only Miami appearance.
Sports brought people back into the city, and, it ended what could have been a long-term problem.
It brought that great melting pot of a city back together, and the common cause was the Miami Heat and NBA basketball.
On February 17th, with a record of 5-42, the Heat were matched up against the other expansion team. The Hornets had defeated the Heat in Charlotte in late November, and it was a battle of new teams with differing philosophies on how to build a franchise.
They were the team that did it the other way. They went with the veteran guys, we went with the young guys. So we were always out to prove that our way was the right way.
There was a little bit of hype going into this thing. With them being the Hornets, the fly swatter was a nice added feature.
We've got our Hornet swatters tonight. We're going to give them heck tonight.
It was a 2-point game, like on the whole fourth quarter, maybe the whole second half.
2 seconds, 1 second. Sparrow jumps out on its way. Sparrow got it! Sparrow hits it! Miami wins!
And the stands converged. I mean, everyone throws all the fly swatters into the crowd. I mean, it was just the sea of fly swatters that were coming down.
We were the expansion champions. We had beat the other expansion team.
The Heat would go on to pick up 2 more big wins in the inaugural season, the first against their arch-rival, the New York Knicks.
And Miami upsets New York on the home floor.
The other win came in Houston in the season finale against the playoff-bound Houston Rockets.
Edwards took it all the way down the lane to score. Miami takes the lead.
As the season came to an end, South Florida was no longer a one-sport town. A new organization had been built from scratch in just 2 years, and in Miami, the Heat was on.
It was a charming time. It was the true honeymoon period. It was the only time in our history where winning was secondary.
Win or lose, fans were coming here. It was sold out. People loved it. It was a place to be seen. They took us as if we were like their children growing up. So they came and watched their children see if they're going to do better next game.